Pleased to meet you, mate. My name is Shane, and I've seen your movie, Sasquatch Sunset.
Awesome. Thanks for chatting about it.
Mate, as a co-director with your brother, how did you pitch this movie? I mean, it's unusual, it's weird, it's got environmental issues, it's got family bonding, it's got a bit of everything, but it's also very out there. Like, did you have a certain way of pitching this to producers?
Yeah, I think we always took it from we always tried to explain, that this was a survival story about a family of Sasquatch. And then as soon as people would hear that, oh, well, this is a family of Sasquatch, you're already dealing with a mythical, legendary creature. And what most people's reference of this is most of the time they're in films, it's a horror film, or it's from the human's perspective. They're very secretive, and we were very earnest with, like, no, this is totally from their point of view. This is going to be immersive in their daily lives and their struggle, and
Yeah.
they're surviving in the wilderness, and it'll be something that you've never seen before. And
Well,
trying
yeah.
trying to talk about, like, we really just showing all aspects of life, which includes the most, sometimes it's mundane and it's just foraging and eating, and sometimes it's really out there with more extreme
Mm.
extreme activities, or it's like something very relatable, like struggles that you have as a family unit, and loss and birth, and all those
Oh,
things.
for for sure. Why Sasquatches? I'm guessing when you were a kid, you might have been obsessed by them or remember that footage that used to go around. Now it's on the internet. Before the internet, even
Yeah,
you knew about Yetis and Bigfoot.
yeah, that's the famous footage. It's called the Patterson Gimlin footage that came out.
Yeah,
It was in the 70s, and we saw it first on a TV show called In Search Of, which was one of, there's like this trend growing up of TV shows of, like, unexplained phenomenon, and talking
yeah.
about UFOs or the pyramids or the Loch Ness monster. And they had an episode on Bigfoot and this sort of hairy man in the woods legend that
Mm.
what's really fascinating. And then we just started thinking about it. I mean, it's really fascinating because every culture, and this legend has been around for thousands of years in different cultures. Like, there's a version in Australia, there's a
Yeah.
version in China, and all these they have no means of communicating or comparing notes. Like the Yeti is the most, probably the most, in Nepal.
Mm.
But there's a similarity with all of them, and we either it exists, or there's something inherent with our with being human, of, like, wanting something like this to exist, of, like, wanting
Right.
something out there, unexplained phenomenon in nature that you want to connect with. And so that just led to our obsession growing up, and
Mm.
trying to solve those answers for ourselves in the most creative ways possible, I think.
Well, in Australia, it's called the Yowie, and
Hmm.
yep, it's called the Yowie. There hasn't been too many movies made about the Yowie. Maybe you can have some kind of sequel or alternate universe and come down under for another story about the
I would love
Yowie,
to.
Yowie Sunset.
Yeah. Yeah. Need some alliteration, like Yowie yesterday or something. I don't know.
Of course, you've worked with an Australian before, Mia Wasikowska. So she's like
Hmm.
she's like royalty down here. Your movie
She's
Damsel.
amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, in
thank
Damsel,
you for
yeah.
that. She's
Oh,
she's
she is.
the best.
She's great, and yeah, like, what a force she is, and just an amazing actress. And I feel like every time we work with someone, looking back on it, it's always like how lucky and fortunate we were to get that opportunity.
Yeah. No, I had to mention Mia because she's very well regarded all around the world, but we love her down under as well, of course. Uh, how did you get Ari Aster on board as a producer? I'm guessing you knew him, or did he just want to be part of it? because it's weird?
Um, we actually we know his producing partner Lars Knutson.
Sure.
We've known him for a really long time, and you know, Lars has been with Ari. Uh,
Mm,
I think since the beginning.
mm,
Yeah, with Hereditary, and just sort of, there's it. We haven't, especially when you look at Ari's films and just the way he approaches things. I think there's some, there's some commonalities of just kind of going all out and really, you know, trying to do something different and trying to push
true.
the audience's expectations, and it just seemed like a natural fit to work with Lars, and
Mm.
then connectively with Ari on it.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you did because it's good, great when producers take risks, and this is certainly a risk.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
you played one of the Sasquatches. Uh, I mean, I've got his name here. Steve Newburn designed the suits, obviously, but what were they like wearing? Did you have much movement? Did you have to have a mime like to so you could learn how to mime? How did it work?
yeah.
Were you hot inside?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it was. We got full body casts, so they took
Yeah.
a mold of our, and so the suit was custom tailored to that. It has like this foam latex and this musculature, and then it's covered with fur, and
Yeah.
then these shoes that probably are like 10 pounds each. It felt like that, but very very tight, which allowed actually more movement, because then it was moving with your body, and you actually had more movement than you would think.
Yeah.
And but they were very heavy and warm, and it took about an hour and a half to put all the face makeup on, and
It's a
you
long
needed
time.
help. Yeah, it was. I mean, the artists that worked on us were great, and everybody had like this. They knew that they were making something that was very special, because most of the time with these creature suits, they do these hours of work, and it's just in for like, a quick shot in the film, or it's in the background, or
Yeah.
this is like, oh no, it's your work is going to be on display for every frame. you know and
Mm,
that they were like uh excited and terrified, and really 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 looking forward to that challenge, because it's like not
mm.
always do you get to see that work front and center like that.
What about the other cast? I mean, Riley in particular. There's one moment where she comes, and we can talk about spoilers. I will let people know ahead of time that this has got spoilers in it. But she comes across a campsite, and just the reactions from Riley in general. That's almost Oscar-worthy acting, voiceless acting, and she's brilliant. How did you come? I mean, Jesse, you've worked with before, but what about Riley? Was it just someone you had in mind?
Um, we yeah, because we've always liked her. I think we talked to her a long time ago, and just kept her in mind for future projects. And um, she has a really great sense of humor, and she does take risks in the roles that she has. We
Yeah,
like some, and so we knew that she might be down for this kind of adventure. And
yeah,
thankfully, like she got it. And similar to Jesse, like when you get really nervous sending a script like this, because there's no dialogue, and it's very unconventional, and you're trying to convince somebody to do something that
mm,
is is different from what they're known for. And they both
yeah.
within like a day just kind of like jumped on it, and were just like, I have to do this movie. I can't wait to do it. But Riley is great, because she does this amazing um acting performance, and a lot of it's with her eyes. She has these really
Mm,
expressive eyes, but she can say, exactly what that character is thinking, and if there was dialogue, what they would be saying,
mm,
um just through the way she's looking at, at, at the other character,
yeah.
or just the world, and reacting to it. It's very um is one of the we kind of knew that on set, and then looking at the performance in the edit, we were just kind of like, oh wow, this is much more. She's made it much more heartfelt than we ever imagined, and much more emotional.
Oh, well, it turns into motherly instinct and motherly love, which is quite dramatic at times as well. And she conveys it all just in those eyes, as you say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, she really nailed it. And like, yeah, there's just, yeah, that mother child um
Mm,
relationship. Just it's been interesting seeing how people really respond to that,
mm.
and when we've watched it with audiences, and they get really emotionally caught up in it. And it's,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, we that was what something we couldn't, we were hoping to do, because that's, you know the ability to make an audience feel
Yeah.
that way for something that's covered in makeup, these kind of creatures that don't look human and can't tell you how they're feeling. They just have to show you. I think that was we
Yeah.
felt proud about
Oh,
that.
not just emotional, but what she wipes you out. There's scenes with the log and just other moments that I bet you weren't expecting to get. So, I mean, did you ever think you were going too far? Did you and your brother think you were just pushing the edge a little bit too much, or you just were
Yeah,
ready to go for it?
we we went for it in a lot of it. We there was, um yeah, and I think, because we wanted to show the ridiculousness of of human existence as well.
Sure. Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
it kind of enabled us. We almost had to go and show some of the more dire circumstances.
Mm,
But like the emotional connection was something we were hoping for, and then the actors just delivered that and then some.
mm.
Uh, there was there's a moment in the film later, after, so Riley's character, this is a spoiler, but Riley's character gives birth to a little baby
Yeah.
Sasquatch. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
and there's a moment where the baby isn't waking up from its nap, and the mother
Yeah.
starts panicking. And it's something that, we I have children, and I remember walking in, and like my son, for example, when he was younger, would sleep with his eyes open, and it would freak me out. Like, I was just like, I would shake him awake, like, are you? And so it's like, your parental instincts take over, like protecting your child.
Mm,
And so we have a scene like that where she's doing that with the baby,
mm.
and people are very thankful that we didn't kill the baby. If that makes
No.
sense. We knew that that would have been like, we would have people would have hated us if that scene had turned out much darker than
Oh
than
yeah.
what we wanted. But
Oh,
but
oh yeah.
yeah. So in terms of lines we weren't going to cross that, because for obvious reasons. But it
Yeah.
was
Good to hear.
an emotional scene, and really made you feel for
Mm,
all the characters at that point, that like, um at that
mm,
point in the movie, they're encroaching in more human elements, and things just feel very dire, as they start coming across more of
yeah.
human artifacts.
There's like I think that there would have been room for maybe Riley to sing, even if it was off. When the cameras weren't on, you could have Sasquatch the musical. Bring it on,
Yeah,
bring it
yeah.
on.
Well, there's a song in the end credits that David wrote a song,
Yeah,
and that's actually sung by Riley.
yeah,
There, I feel like, I can remember, maybe it was like a movie like Silent Running, which had this song by Joan Baez, and
yeah.
other movies like had these kind of folk like songs that kind of played in the credits. And we thought it would be really funny to have Riley, who
Mm,
you haven't heard,
talk.
say anything at all the whole movie, and then like she's singing on the soundtrack.
Well, I'm hoping maybe on the Blu-ray there's plenty of special like bonus features and special sort of documentaries and things. Is there anything to do with Octopus Project and Riley and singing, or is it just
There's
behind the scenes footage?
there's a lot of behind the scenes footage. We really like the, doing we gathered a lot of footage from the crew and stuff that we took on our cell phones, and kind of I feel like that kind of footage as opposed to like a EPK
Yeah.
really gets the vibe of the production, because this was really everybody was really, had a really great time making this film, and it was the
Yeah.
hardest thing we've ever done and the most fun that we've ever had at the same time. And the Octopus Project shot a lot of video. They're the composers. They came on um, early before we started. We shared the script with them and talked about the vibe that we were going for, and they started writing music and
Mm. They
visited
named
us.
it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's so good. And they visited us in Northern California when we were shooting, and went around and like knocked on trees and recorded the sound of plants and all
Beautiful.
these things that then they took back to the studio and incorporated in the music, which I thought was really cool. So there's some funny footage of them like with little mics, uh,
Good.
miking up
Good.
mushrooms and stuff like that. So you get to see a little bit of that fun part.
Well, I hope more people embrace it. To wrap up our conversation, did you have any alternate endings? Did the way the film ended, was that you and your brother's first and only decision, or did you think about going other ways?
We had some other ideas of what they would come across,
Mm,
but that was the tone and the feeling of just sort of
mm,
like, when they finally reach civilization, it's so overwhelming.
mm,
And where we shot, is in Northern California, is like the epicenter of Bigfoot lore. It's like where that original film was made, and where, most most Bigfoot sightings are condensed in around that
mm.
area,
Harry, was
all along the
Harry
Pacific
was
Coast.
Harry spotted there? Harry and the Hendersons? I don't remember where he lived.
I, yeah, I can't remember where that movie takes place. I wouldn't be surprised. I know it was in California, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised
yeah.
if it was up there. But that museum that they come across, that's the real museum. Uh, and we were just scouting and wanted to go to the museum anyways, and just saw it, and it just sort of clicked, like, to see humanity, but also see this weird effigy of
Mm,
yourself and be very confused of what that means. And
mm.
we would joke that it's sort of like this, you know, we're not really sure what she thinks it is, but it's almost like seeing God, or some sort of statue of yourself, or like the
Basically.
Planet of the Apes ending, where you realize that
I
that
thought that. I thought that, or even 2001: A Space Odyssey, because you had the X on the tree, and they were looking at it like it was the monolith, and then at the end,
yeah,
I'm thinking they're sort of full circle.
yeah, exactly, yeah. I think there's something there that we kind of, it wasn't something that you go out to do, but when you're when you understand the tone and what you're going for, things kind of gel like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and this is how she should react to it. It's sort of like there's something very sad about, because she calls to it and it never responds, and that's sort of a
Mm,
theme that this, like they bang on trees and they never get a response. They call for help and they never get a response, and then she sees this statue and she
mm.
calls to it and doesn't get a response. And there's something very, to us, very sad about, like, an animal especially howling to the night and then never hearing anything in return.
Well, I'd love to see Riley get a Golden Globe nomination or something, recognition, because movies like yours don't get recognized enough. But she put in like a top-notch performance.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah. Final question, and I can't believe I'm asking this. Who decided on the size of the Sasquatch penis? Like,
um,
I can't believe
that
as a journalist, I can't believe I
yeah.
just said that question.
No, I mean, it was a topic of conversation. We wanted, I mean, when you see nature videos and when you of other animals, it's always less impressive
Right.
than you would expect. And I think also we knew we wanted them to be anatomically correct, but we not too distracting, if that makes sense. And then,
It makes sense.
my character. my character is like, he's like this alpha male type of, like the silverback gorilla of the family,
Yeah.
and he kind of has that stereotype of being sort of grumpy and not really interested in his kids, and sort of kind of selfish. And you see that whenever you see like a video of gorillas, there's always that one, like it's true, like all the females are kind of gathered around and they're kind of raising the kids, and then the silverback gorilla is kind of indifferent and off to the side, and it's just we think that's really funny, and so having this sort of like stereotypical Sasquatch who's
Mm.
the brooding big one, especially like, Jesse's character is a more thoughtful male,
Mm.
and but it was funny giving that stereotype, and then giving it a really small penis.
It's the first and last time I'll ever ask that question to anyone, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I could imagine Harry out of Harry and the Hendersons. That comes to that. So
Yeah.
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 Alrighty.